Hello, Tammy.
Hey, Nancy.
Well, let's introduce ourselves and get started with our 2023 information session for new pilots for the Hamilton and Burlington chapter of Cycling Without Age. I'm Nancy, and I'm the co-founder and volunteer coordinator for our chapter.
And I am Tammy Heidbuurt. I am the executive director of New Hope Community Bikes, which is the charitable organization that is housing the Cycling Without Age chapter.
Okay, great. I'm just going to share my screen. And we'll get going with our presentation. Good, everybody can see it?
Yes.
Okay. So let's tell you what we're going to do today. We've introduced ourselves. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the objectives. We're going to tell you about CWA International, about our own chapter, about last year and this year, and then what you probably came to hear most importantly, the requirements, the responsibilities of a pilot, our bikes, what the training is, the documents, and where we're going to ride. And then we'll have time for questions and a wrap up. So let's get started. The objectives of today's presentation are really to allow you, at the conclusion of the presentation, to say to yourself, yes, I think I want to do this. I've got the time and I'm interested, or I'm not sure. I want to be a pilot or a bike buddy, but I certainly want to contribute in some way. We have some other volunteer roles that you can write us. Or thirdly, it's really not my thing, but I might send some money because New Hope is a charity and our whole program is funded through donations and grants. So we'll come back to that at the end. So just a quick view of Cycling Without Age International. It started in 2012 in Denmark. Picture in the middle shows Ole Kasau pushing a trishaw in one of the Singapore chapters. He started it because he was riding around on his bike and he always saw the same older gentleman sitting on a bench. And finally he said, "Can I give you a ride?" He rigged up a cargo bike and the rest is history. So just a little bit about Cycling Without Age. It's based on 5 principles, and the principles are generosity. That means the work that's done by the pilots are volunteers. They're not paid. And that the passengers don't pay for the rides. Slowness, the speed recommended to take passengers is between 10 and 15 kilometers an hour. Relationships, there's lots of opportunity to build relationships. We certainly found that last year between ourselves as pilots and volunteers, and also the passengers and the staff at the senior centers. Without age means your age should have nothing to do with it. Most of our pilots had a median age of 65. Our oldest was over 80. And some of our passengers, well, one had her 100th birthday. At least we think it was her 100th birthday. In the end, it turned out to be 99. So we'll do it again this year. And the final principle is storytelling, because there's lots of opportunities to tell stories when you're cycling with the passengers. And we certainly heard some good stories from passengers over the last couple of years. So then our chapter, last year we were very fortunate. One of our corporate donors made 3 short videos for us. One about the beneficiaries, the passengers, one about the donors and the sponsors, and the third one about the volunteers. And since you're here to learn about volunteering, we're just going to show you this quick little 3-minute video, and you might see some of your friends. So Tammy, I'll stop sharing and maybe you can start it. Okay.
Yep. I say that so confidently. Oh dear.
They can go fast.
There's yeah, I had it all lined up. No, that's not it. Stop sharing. We may have to start over again. I had both videos up and now all I can see is whiteboard.
Maybe we
logos.
can play it right from the PowerPoint.
Well,
So
maybe you want to try that?
let's try that.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, it's going to start. So I will share my screen and okay, as soon as the golf commercial's over. But now we can't hear it. Okay.
Your mic, it's actually looks like it's off on the YouTube. So maybe if you click on that little speaker.
Which is a good reason that.
Visible.
Oh.
I think it'll just become more popular.
You should try this. It's totally awesome.
Cycling Without Age is an international program that allows people who cannot cycle for themselves to take a free ride in an e-assist bike called the Tri-Shop. It started in Denmark. It's all over the world. There's almost 60 chapters in Canada now, and we are the Hamilton and Burlington Cycling Without Age chapter. And I am the co-founder.
We're pretty much fully running here in Hamilton almost every day of the week. We have partnerships with senior organizations giving rides. It's starting in Burlington as well. We've got partnerships there, mostly because we have pilots who are really passionate about it. We've got some leadership that are just persistent and consistent reaching out. And we've actually had some exposure with pictures and social media that now people know about us.
I'm a very proud member of Cycling Without Age. I think it's definitely a win-win program.
The pilots are the heart of the program, because without them, we don't have a program.
I like the idea of helping people.
Same thing that I was doing at my work, which was helping people, making people happy.
That's what draws me to it, is the people.
It's a wonderful opportunity to take people out, and it's a fun volunteer opportunity as well.
Every single person who went in that Tri-Shot had the same facial expression, sincerity of, deep appreciation and joy. But I honestly was like trying to keep the tears from showing, because it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
Oh, there goes the boat. Cool.
Anybody that was considering volunteering for Cycling Without Age would benefit tremendously from the reward that you feel back from giving to people that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity.
And just the excitement, the enjoyment that they show makes you feel good at the end. So everybody benefits.
It's nice to give, and it's nice to see how happy someone can be. The smiles on their faces, the wind in their hair, and the fact that they want to come back for more. That is very satisfying for me.
The more you get to know these people and how trained they are and how professional they are, they have a love, not only for cycling, but also a love for the people in our home, and how good they are. They're good people.
Attention to safety and comfort and caring. We really want to be a part of any kind of activity that does that. People feel it.
Okay. Well, let's go back to the presentation. All right. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Now we went 2 slides. Okay, so how did 2022 look for our chapter? This is our statistics for the year. And as you can see, we did a lot of rides in Hamilton and a few in Markham and some in Burlington. Burlington, we started halfway through the summer because one of the homes had an outbreak, but we had a good time and we've got a lot more lined up for Burlington this year. We did do quite a few events. In Hamilton, we did the McMaster Children's Hospital Walk and Wheel. We did the cactus parade. The picture on the left is from the parade. We were in the Bike for Mike. And we did some community rides for pilots' families or for just people in the community who called up and said that they'd like to take their mother, their uncle, their neighbor for a ride. And we did Gage Park mum shows, and we've got a few events planned for this year as well. So our funding, just so you know how we're funded, the trishaws are very expensive. You'll see at the bottom, or it's on another slide. Each trishaw is between 15 and 20,000. So the first one was purchased through grants from McMaster Financial Affairs and from the Port Authority. A Hamilton resident made a donation for the second one, and the third one through a New Horizons federal grant and fundraising. We received grants from the Retired Teachers Association, and we certainly received a lot of support in kind and through staff time from New Hope. Oh, well, and I forgot our karaoke nights at Tracy's Restaurant, where we did a lot of 50-50 draws this winter. So looking at 2023, we've got 5 days in Burlington and 4 regular days in Hamilton. This might be a good place to just talk about what's a typical day or half day for a pilot. Most pilots ended up signing up a half day a week, although we don't have a minimum requirement. So if you had signed up, and we use an app called signup.com, it's pretty simple. You get the email link, you see what's available and what your schedule is. You might sign up, say, on Tuesday as a bike buddy for the first hour, and for the second hour, so the second hour would be 11 to 12 as a pilot. So you would go to the welcome in, which we would give you the information, but it's 40 Wood Street, and the coordinator, so that's Sharon. She's one of our pilots who's volunteered to kind of run the day on Tuesdays at the welcome in. Sharon would meet you and make sure you're okay, check the bike, and she will have figured out which passengers are going when with the staff members at the welcome in. And we would go, so you would ride probably from 10 till 12, or if you signed up for the afternoon, you would go maybe 1 till 3. It's kind of what you're available. Most people find 3 hours is more than enough, and 1 isn't really enough. So you can see on the schedule what it is. I'll just mention that the long-term care homes are the ones where we hope to use the trishaw, where people in the wheelchair can just slide in and slide out. They don't have to dismount from their wheelchair. And the retirement homes that are funded and for profit, the Chartwell ones, they do pay an annual fee. The home pays, but there's no charge for the residents. So the requirements to be a pilot, 18 years old, you must be a confident cyclist on your own bike. That's important because this is an e-assist bike. It has gears and it has power levels, and it's a good size. I need a cell phone. You need a vulnerable person police check, and that depending on where you live, if you live in Halton, you do it through the Halton Police. If you live in Hamilton, you do it through the Hamilton Police. And you must name the volunteer organization. So that would be New Hope Community Bikes. Once you're trained, you've got to sign a confidentiality agreement, which covers code of conduct, and it's a waiver, although you do have insurance, liability, property, and accidental death and dismemberment for our pilots. You must complete the training satisfactorily. And if there are some COVID protocols at some of the centers, you must follow them. So I'm going to turn it over to Tammy, and she's going to tell you a little bit about New Hope and what they provide and what your responsibilities are as a volunteer of New Hope.
All right. Yeah, again, New Hope is a cycling education charity. And so we have a bicycle shop located in East End, Hamilton, where we offer basic bike repair courses, allow people to use a stand and use our tools and work on their own bikes. People will donate old bikes to us. We refurbish them and sell them at low cost. And our goal is to make cycling both accessible and affordable, and increasing people's knowledge about cycling in general. So along with the bike shop, we do a number of community programs. One of them is Ride Smart, which teaches cycling education in schools. Another one is Tour de Cafe, which is a women's ride. We now have benefited from having Cycling Without Age as part of our roster. And all of it is about providing access to bikes, providing knowledge about bikes, and also knowledge about safe cycling. And so Nancy and I met one another back in 2020, when as an organization, we weren't able to do a number of our programs due to COVID, but the awareness was there about vulnerability of seniors. And so as we were Googling seniors and cycling Without Age came up, and a little chapter with Nancy's name on it looked like somebody was trying to start something with that. So we connected and found that Cycling Without Age was a good fit for us as an organization, because it continued to help us with our mission of getting more people on bikes and providing accessibility. And it's been a great partnership. And so as a volunteer of Cycling Without Age, you are essentially becoming a volunteer of New Hope Community Bikes. So we will hold your vulnerable sector check. That's where it gets housed. We help to maintain and get insurance for the program and the trishaws. We provide maintenance on the trishaws, transportation if we can on the trishaws, and then just overall support to the program as it continues to grow and evolve. And so as a volunteer of New Hope Community Bikes, we also ask that volunteers can get on board with the mission that we have, which is becoming a learning hub and providing access to affordable transportation and fostering kind of inclusive cycling community. We also hope that you can contribute to building a community through cycling. And then, of course, to but essentially align with the code of conduct that our organization also has, which very much fits with the code of conduct and the policies that you would see in Cycling Without Age's manual, which you will get if you want to proceed. You'll get a nice set of a bit more overview of Cycling Without Age, which includes some policies and procedures. And in that, you'll see things that align with the code of conduct of New Hope Bikes, including, regarding abuse, harassment, health and safety, confidentiality. Those are pieces that are important to us to maintain, and I know is also important to Cycling Without Age globally. And so we'll work on that together. You will also become like an ambassador of New Hope Community Bikes. So wherever you might be, you're representing us as an organization, and we just ask that you conduct your behavior accordingly as well. And so that's essentially it. Is the role of Cycling Without Age and New Hope Community Bikes is we get to support it, help it flourish, oversee it, and maintain kind of the background pieces needed to help it to move forward. So that's that in a nutshell.
Okay, thanks, Tammy. So back to the pilot, the responsibilities, a bit more on this. These points on the right are, I think, quite straightforward, the same ones that you would use riding your own bike. So I'll just leave those there for a sec. We don't stop to buy food or drinks at this time. I find most of the passengers either have walkers or canes, and once they're settled in the trishaw, usually by one of their staff members, and we've helped buckle them up and make sure they're safe. Stopping on the route and getting out for snacks just doesn't work. So we stop to look at geese and other things on the trail, but we don't stop to get out. So I'm going to show a little video here now, and this is about, we have two types of bikes. The one at the top is our original. So this is a Van Ram Chat. It's the one that we will run in downtown Burlington and at the waterfront in Hamilton for the most part. And the one below is the brand new one that we've just ordered. It's called the Velo Plus, and that's the wheelchair one. We're going to call that one Wheelie Jill. So let's see if we can get one of these videos going. And they're short. They're made by the maker, Van Ram. So they just tell you a little bit about the bike. So let's go with our original. Come on.
They have better luck than I did. Yeah. So fortunately, it's very visual because there's no sound. but you will also have access to this video afterwards. So you can, if you want to look at it at your own leisure. But yeah, Nancy, there's no sound, and that's okay because it's just walking through it, the steps anyway. There are a few key things about this trishaw, like that foot rest that you just saw. And once you know it, it's very easy to navigate. And the training that you will receive will walk you through all the things that you're seeing right now, the locks on the brakes, the footrest, how to power it on. I'm just going to be the speaker for this video since it's not doing it. And it's a very smooth ride for a big bike. It's a nice smooth ride. It has a nice turning radius. So they say up to 20, and of course we're trying to keep it between 10 and 15, just for the nice leisure ride. There is a max weight for it. It's 300 or 350, Nancy, for the weight?
350.
Yeah, 350. So yeah, we ask that the organizations that we work with help us to determine if we should have a solo rider or two people in there. But it is nice to have two people because they can chat with each other. But sometimes it's necessary just to have one rider or one passenger. My apologies.
Yay. Oh no, I gotta stop it.
Well, fortunately, there's no audio on the side.
Okay, I think one video is enough. That was too stressful. Let me just say that the controls on the wheelie trishaw are identical. Same gearing, same power levels, same braking. The only thing that's different is how the wheelchair gets on the bike. So we'll have separate training for that. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, so training. Here's a picture of our trainers and Tammy and I. So on the left is Jeffrey. He's a retired kindergarten teacher. With the vest is John. He teaches transport truck training. And in the middle is Adam. He's our head trainer and he was a professional cyclist. And we got two more trainers this year, Donnell, who was a pilot last year and a spin instructor, and Scott, who was also a pilot last year and a great athlete. So we've set up the indoor training at a place called the Perkins Center, which has a big main floor with posts in the middle to practice steering around. And we've got some times here in the morning and in the evening in April. And we've got 6 participants per session with 1 or 2 trainers. And after the call, if you're interested and you send us an email that says you wish to participate, we'll send you the link and you can sign up for the training. We haven't set the outdoor training yet, but it will be in May, and it will be, you can ride either place. You can ride Hamilton, Burlington, or up on the mountain, whatever you wish, but we'll ask you to pick where you think you would ride the most and do the training there, because then you can see the route and, you know, practice on the hills and curves that are associated with that route. And each training is about 2 hours. Okay, so here's just a little picture of the sign up app. It's a bit faint here, but you can see for indoor training, there's a place called attendee and there's trainer. So 2 trainers have already signed up for Thursday evening, Scott and Jeffrey, and Tony has already signed up as an attendee. I've added another spot, so there's 6, and if we have to, we can add a couple more spots. And if we really have to, we could add another session. Here's the application, which I will mail out to you after this. We ask you to fill it out in paper format and bring it to the first training session. The links are here for either the Hamilton or the Halton police check. And remember, you need to say that your volunteer association is New Hope. This is a training waiver, which we'll have on a clipboard, and there'll be spots for each of your names to sign as you go through the training or before the training. And as Tammy referenced earlier, we have a volunteer pilot handbook that we've, for the most part, cribbed from a lot of the other chapters, but we've put our own specifics in there as well. It's on the web page now, but if you want a hard copy, when you sign up for training, you can just indicate yes, and $5. That's about what it costs to print it at Staples. We'll bring one for you. So in the handbook, there are pilot skills guideline. That's the main section of the handbook, and it covers the topics on the list. And also a sample of the ride log. So the site coordinator will have a clean one of these, and as each ride is completed, we'll finish this so that we're able to track our statistics. And we are looking at automating. Our web person is looking at a digital app for some of this. So, but for now, it's paper. And here is the skills checklist that we will ask you to demonstrate during the training session to one of the trainers. So there's a checklist to make sure, you know, that the passenger's buckled in, the bell works, the footrest is up. You have to operate the footrest. It is a bit tricky. The ability to anticipate shifting. We don't want you shifting when the pedals aren't turning. That's very hard on the chain and risks that it might fall off. It's important to shift down before stop signs and before going up any hills. There aren't very many hills on any of our routes. They're more like slopes. And riding slowly, it needs to be demonstrated. It feels a lot faster when you're the passenger in the front. And with the assistance of the bike buddy, you see there's a canopy. And if a pilot is less than about 5'5", you might not want the canopy. So it's important to know how to take the canopy on and off. For myself, I really have to sit up straight to see over the canopy. No problem for Jeffrey here. And finally, when everything's said and done, before you start taking passengers, we want you to sign the confidentiality application agreement. It's in the handbook, so you can just tear it out, or we'll have some spares. And you'll have your police check, and hopefully then by the beginning of June or the end of May, you'll be taking passengers on the route. So here's one of the routes. This is the main route downtown, the waterfront, and that's not downtown, it's the waterfront trail down on the waterfront in Hamilton. We store the trishaw at the Leander Boat Club, which is right beside the Yacht Club. So most times the site coordinator will bring the trishaw up to the Welcome Inn or out to Shalom Village or up to Williams, wherever the passengers have been told to meet. And then it's an out and back route. So depending on the time, the speed, the weather, the desire of the passenger, you might make it all the way to the other end of the route and back. Not often, but generally you'll certainly make it down to Bayfront Park and back. There's so much to see, and it's changing all the time down there. In Burlington, we've got a couple of routes. The one on the right is the one we used at the beginning of last year. So the Centennial Trail from Christopher Terrace, which is on New Street, riding east to as far as Burl Oak, we can go. Or when we got tired of that one and the passengers got tired of that one, we started riding down in the subdivision just below Dines there. And this year, because some of the sites are closer to downtown, we're thinking we'll be riding down Elizabeth Street beside the Pearl. That's the least steep, least busy area, and then along Spencer, and perhaps out on the beach path. Certainly not past the lift bridge, but maybe that far. So those are the routes, and I think we covered everything we wanted. So Tammy, need to add anything?
I was trying to anticipate what questions would come. I'm just thinking Sharon did one of these sessions with us earlier, and she is a site coordinator, which we've mentioned. And there's lots of different roles for the Cycling Without Age program. So the pilot is one role, and that's the pilot who's actually cycling the trishaw. Bike buddy is another role, and that's kind of a companion to the trishaw, and is there as they can help go ahead of the trishaw to clear the way, or have conversations with those who are in the trishaw, or just be a support. If something happens, you've got somebody else that's there for you. And so it's actually, we've learned it's a very important role, and it actually helps make things much smoother to have that role. Then there's the site coordinator, and we have a few in place that have done it last year and have given lots of time and are phenomenal at it. And as we add new sites, we do need more coordinators, or even to share that position. And that's somebody who basically picks kind of a site organization and is there the day helping to make sure that we connect with the staff on site so that we have passengers lined up, matched with pilots coming in. And so that's also a pretty crucial role. Social media, there's a whole lot of other places to plug in as well. So if you're seeing yourself fitting in here somehow, not quite sure, consider that there's also other roles that also are needed to be filled. And as I believe it was Lorraine, one of the pilots, has said, it's the funnest volunteer opportunity you can find. And I think that you will find that to be true should you choose to go ahead with this. Aside from that, I think, I think it's been covered fairly well, but certainly if there are any questions, just email cwahamilton@gmail.com. And you can ask your questions there. Certainly that's a good place to send an email if you are interested, so that we have your contact information, and then we can send back to you a link to the signup.com so that you know when you can register for the training sessions that are coming up. So that's cwahamilton@gmail.com. It's a pretty important email should you want to proceed with this initiative. I think that's it that I can remember.
I just add one other thing. We did have people ask about weekends, and up until this point, we've had a hard time doing weekends. We have some events, but most of the sites, their coordinators, their staff only work Monday to Friday. And since most of the volunteers are retired, so far, that's what it is. If you want to train and you think you can only do on weekends, that's fine. We'll try and get some more events, but I do think we need to be upfront about that. There's not very many weekend rides per se, and you still need to put in the time for training, right? Okay, so let's end it there and send us an email. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.